Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth. I could be wrong, but this, I think, is the third game to have Call of Cthulhu in the name that was released on a home system or on a computer. Although it was released, I think, on some home systems first. Now, it was released in like 2005, 2006. And this game was, the main source of its inspiration comes from The Shadow over Innsmouth. And if you've never read The Shadow over Innsmouth, well, playing the game gives you a good idea how the story went. Except it's, tweaked a little bit to include or incorporate our protagonist, Jack Winters. Now, I obviously, when I play it, I didn't get this. I didn't get the full ending, or I didn't get the full story. But I've seen some clips about it. But the game basically opens with you playing Jack Winters, called in on a cult situation. You're called in specifically because somehow your name was mentioned. Of course, when you go to sneak into the place, you find that they've all been already wiped out, it seems. And you go down to their underground port, or their underground lair, I should say, not port, and find that there is some sort of device there, one that opens a portal. You have a brief encounter with a very strange creature. And then for a time you spent in an asylum. Apparently you were not of the right mind after that. You're out of the asylum and now taking on an investigation. Apparently a major or growing grocery chain has opened up a branch in Innsmouth. But something happened. The person they had there somehow disappeared, apparently having stolen from the place. So you go down to Innsmouth. And this is more investigation mode. You're not armed. You're not expecting any trouble. You're just trying to find out what happened. And the people in Innsmouth are not very trusting of you. Not a majority of them. You come across some, quote, possible allies. A woman who is apparently the daughter of the local priest, or regular priest, not, dark kind of priest. You meet up with the town, quote, drunk, who's actually probably one of the few stable men in the town, by your standards. And that was another nod they did to the original game, or to the original story. The guy's name is Zadok Allen. And some other possible nice people that you can interact with. Of course, having finished your investigation for the night, you then find out that they are targeting you. Apparently, you've already pissed off the esoteric Order of Dagon, who's the true, force in town. And eventually what happens is when you go to spend the night in the Gilman Hotel, Gilman, obvious reference to what you're going to be facing, you are then chased through the hotel. You have to escape, jump to another building, work your way through that, jump to another site. It's literally a key arcade sequence. Eventually, you get to the warehouse, and now you are sneaking around town, avoiding everybody. You're still unarmed. And once you get through things, you make your way to the tent. You make your way to a garage with a vehicle to get out. You are also meeting up through various instances with FBI agents and that. I mean, also during this section, you are just trying to avoid being caught, shot, killed, burned up, going through all sorts of things. And, this is a section that if you don't have like a notion of what you're supposed to do or like a walkthrough, you're literally walking in to a death trap. Now, once you, of course, get things done and you find out where the, quote, missing person is, and then have to take part in a rescue operation, and then get weaponry, you begin on a ride on a mad dash out of the town, or at least out of one part of the town to another part, where you literally have to shoot these bastards as you're being driven, and which means this guy's not the best driver in the world, so you're going to take hits on the drive and everything. Eventually, you are able to find the guy's girlfriend, and apparently she wants to get out of the town too. You escape, and well, the FBI agent that you met earlier, he's been captured, and the FBI is now ready to move in. Yeah, you get to meet Hoover too. J. Edgar Hoover. Well, once you get in, you're working through the warehouse, getting weaponry, shooting the bad guys dead, playing both sneaky and smart, because you don't have infinite ammo. And eventually, you have to rescue a captured Hoover. And fight off a Shoggoth. Yeah, that's an ugly thing. I mean, you have to sneak past it at one point. Once you get through that, you then have to invade the Esoteric Order's base in the church through underground tunnels and have to deal with one of the biggest, nastiest things that won't die unless you use the right type of method on it. You find Mackie, that's the FBI man, and then have to fight through the esoteric order building. You will find a temple room. Have to fight two magic users. You will chase Marsh only to fall down and end up in the ocean. Then you're pulled onto one of the ships of the Coast Guard, which gets attacked by deep ones, and then by Father Dagon himself. Okay, I got to admit that was an impressive fight. I liked that one. It was trying because you have to avoid him, and when he gets to the right position, shoot him with the big gun. Of course, prior to this, you also have to take care of the people on the reef. Of course, after the battle, the ship does get wrecked. You're again afloat in the ocean until you end up on the reef, and then it is basically getting in and infiltrating their base there. Now it's which is basically leading to an underwater base or underwater city, whatever you want to call it, and the only thing protecting it is actually Mother Hydra's magic. So you literally have to work your way, after getting caught, sneak your way out of the prison, which if you're spotted, everybody and their brother is going to come after you. You're going to have to deal with deep ones. And eventually you're going to find, after you make it through going up and down, finding the right way and finding the right locations, eventually you find one of the neatest weapons I've ever seen in a game. It will never run out of ammo, but it has a charge up time. And then you literally take one path to get to where Mother Hydra is. But in the course, you are fighting against two ugly creatures called flying polyps. So you've got to, and that's a tricky battle in and of itself. Once you beat them, you basically get into the temple part where she is doing her thing, and you must basically, to defeat her, you must fill her protective area with water. This is not going to hurt her, but when you shoot that big lightning gun in there, whoo boy, it's going to fry her butt. Which you then do a mad dash out of. I've known that others have had a hard time with that mad dash. Actually, of the mad dashes that are in this game, I think I had my hardest time with the one where you're escaping the hotel. I had to do that multiple times. Whereas when I had the one where I was basically running through, of the dash parts where you basically had to avoid being shot or anything like that. The escape after defeating Mother Hydra, I one-shot it. I did it in one go. Yeah, I think I did do it in one go, and I'm still surprised by that. Of course, after that, depending on certain factors, if how low your sanity dropped, and how many times you were too dumb to realize what you were doing, uh, and how many times you saved, you get your ending. And it answers a lot of questions for Jack, depending which path you take, or how much you. But the basics is, um, he has had the mind swap did thing with the great race of Yith. And they've actually been watching him because you only find this out if you don't save a lot and do very well in the game. See, the great race of Yith is under attack at that time. But if you don't save often, if you get through with a high amount of sanity, the truth comes out. Jack is special. And it is because how the Yith would operate would be that they basically mind swap with with an entity somewhere in space and time to learn things. And it just so happened that one happened to mind swap with his father during the act of intercourse. Which basically meant that Jack was somehow born or somehow conceived with some Yithian influence, which allows him to see some things for what they are. Once this is revealed, however, Jack is, by the time he gets that back, he's again in the sanitarium. Sanitariums in the 1920s were not pleasant places to be. Actually, for many of the years after sanitariums were first conceived, they were not nice places to be. And the game basically ends in a typical Lovecraftian way. And if you know much about Lovecraft stories, main characters do not fare well in the sanity department by the end of the story. And in this one, well, let's face it, Jack can't keep up with it, and he basically takes his own life. So, while it is good that you have defeated the forces of Cthulhu, Mother Hydra, and Father Dagon, and the esoteric order of Dagon, well, your mind couldn't handle it, so you just killed yourself. Overall, the game is pretty good if you can get it in a good condition that works on modern day computers. Some people had to find, I got mine off GOG. I don't know how the one getting it off of Steam is. Could be still good. It's an interesting game, and if you have the fortitude and skills to get through it with minimal saves, I invite you to do so. The story is decent. Actually, a pretty good story compared. This is, of course, the third game I've played with Call of Cthulhu in the name. And By this point, I would say if I had to rank the three that I've played by this point, by this retrospective, when it goes up, I would rank Dark Corners of the Earth, number one, Shadow of the Comet, number two, and Prisoner of Ice, number three. And that's basically, you had better graphics in this than you had for either of the other two games. You had a story that was literally based off Lovecraft, really mostly based off Lovecraft's works. And they did a clever incorporation with it. And it had a fitting dark ending. So I do recommend it. I do recommend playing it at least once, especially if you're a Lovecraft fan. And that's all I'm going to say about Call of Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth. Thank you for listening, and feel free to subscribe to the channel and check out all my other stuff that's up on the channel. And until next time, have a good one and have fun. Bye.